Good afternoon, good evening, and hello. Welcome back to a podcast where only one of us wants to be here.
Yeah, if you don't want to be here, that's fine. I'll do it on my own.
I have a question for you because I have had, no joke, all right, five. I counted five messages from five independent people.
Yeah.
Right? Not family of mine, five independent people who all messaged me to say, why does Ryan look like he doesn't want to do his own podcast? Like over the last few weeks. And I just replied, because he's just a miserable git. That's what he's like all the time. I'll be honest,
getting out of bed's enough.
I can see that. I can see that.
No, there's no reason. It's just the way I am. I'm a smiling on the inside kind of clown.
Now, I put up a thing the other day on the OverAndOut show page asking people to let us know if they listened to the podcast or if they watched the podcast, right? Shout out to absolutely fucking nobody, because nobody responded.
No? Really?
Right?
Oh, okay.
That's I said maybe Suphub was the only one responded saying they watched, right? But generally, no one give a toss. So cheers for that, folks. Appreciate the feedback.
Thank you, guys. And they're moaning about me not wanting to be on the podcast. They don't even want to listen to it.
Exactly.
What does it matter? Why do you think I don't want to be here? You don't want me to be here. You don't want him to be here. What's the point? Right, that's I'm good.
What is the what? Thanks for listening. All the best of your lives. So the reason I asked that, right, is the other day I was driving home
for Christmas
and I was listening to our own podcast, which I do frequently.
It's a good show. Right? You guys should check it out.
It's a great show. You should check it out. It is available on all podcast streaming services. But I had to listen to it and I was like, I personally think it's way better as just audio.
Oh, you think we're wasting our time doing the videos?
It's just that you have such a miserable face.
I see where this is going.
Right? Well, it's not that I'm blaming you.
You kind of are.
Well, it's 100% your... No. The reason I do that is because when I watch when I watch it back, right, I laugh at you most of the time. Not with you, though, at you. Because your morbid face is not what I imagine it looks like when we're talking. So the conversation that we have, I find hilarious. And then when I watch it back, I'm like, oh, Ryan looks like he just wants to end his life right now.
I'm an internal kind of person.
Like...
I like
absolutely.
I'm having a good time. This is what pisses me off. I had this whole time. I had this all my life. I remember I was sitting at a train station once, and the guy. I was just sitting there minding my own business. I think I had my Walkman on. It was that long ago, and or it might have been a Discman. Who knows? And this guy walked up to me and went, "Cheer up, it'll never happen." And I thought in my head, it just fucking did. And I literally, in my head, all I could do was push him on the train tracks and go, the world would be a better place. That's what goes through my head, you see. Yeah. But I was quite happy. I was just listening to our music. It was a lovely day.
So happy you wanted to push a guy onto a train
I was really
track.
happy until he spoke to me. You know, I was doing fine. It's like, why do you have to interrupt my life? You interrupt my train of thought or whatever I was thinking about, having a great time. And
pun intended.
And he ruined it. And I thought, who are you, Mr. Man, to tell me?
Well, but was he on the right tracks with that comment, or did you think he was off the rails?
No, I was. I know on the outside it doesn't seem this way, but I'm actually a rather happy-go-lucky kind of guy.
Really?
I'm never really that upset about anything. Like I
don't think anyone would describe you as happy-go-lucky.
The funny thing is that, like, it's funnier sometimes to just find everything miserable. It's like it's almost too easy for everything to be good, you know. And it's like, because generally I'm quite happy with life. I enjoy it. It's very cool. I have a great time, and but it's just that I get triggered very easily by things, which what I've noticed is that I'll get angry immediately and go, they're all a bunch of assholes, and then it'll be over. That's it. I'm done, and then I'm happy again. But my face doesn't always say that. I think my friend called it resting bitch face.
No. Yeah. That is exactly what you have.
But I think that's unfair.
But permanently. Well, it's absolutely not unfair. Like, it is absolutely not. You've got probably one of the most miserable faces I've ever seen on a human. But that's why I laugh so much at the podcast, because when we're talking on the phone, I'm picking up the vibes, and then when I watch it back, I'm like, that's not the guy. Is that what he looked like the whole time? That conversation. There's times where you just zone out.
I'm listening.
So anyway, the reason I found it hilarious. I know, but I think that's why. I think because we talk on the phone so often, I pick up on the audio vibes, and I honestly just think you disengage visually. So, but I think that's what you're like naturally, because I've sat in a bar with you before and had a chat, and you look exactly the same. I look over at him and I go, well, this guy, if he has it, he may have a knife in his coat.
The thing is, I'm 100% there, just visually.
Just not visually, emotionally, visually. But I listened to the podcast and I was like, do you know what? I feel like, and that's why I was keen to hear if people listened or watched, because I was like, I would love to know the difference. Like, if you do consume the podcast, listen to a bit of it, watch a bit of it, listen to a bit of it, or listen to a bit of it first.
Or then watch it with your hands over your eyes. Yeah, like this, like this. You see what we're doing?
Oh, he's having a great time. Oh, he's having a shit time. Oh, he's having a great time. Oh no, he looks like he wants to die. So, I mean, I personally just do that with podcasts quite often. If I listen to a podcast and then if I find there's a bit that I found was quite funny on anyone's podcast, and if they do a video version, I'll go back and try to watch it. Is that a fucking phone ringing?
Yeah, you're lucky. The shouty girls next door just left before we started. God. Yeah.
Did they? Shouty bass. Did they have the kid in today?
They might have done. I don't know. I came in after. There was just a few stragglers left. So
fair enough. But yeah, I was just thinking, like, if you watch it back, I find it quite interesting to listen to podcasts and watch it, and then I go, oh, that's what they were doing when that happened. It's not what I was imagining. Kind of like the podcast version of reading a book, then watching the feature film.
Yeah, but you miss bits out.
You've made it up. You've made it up in your mind. You've imagined what they're doing. So I just thought our podcast was way better just through the audio. But I don't know if that's just me, because, you're in my ear holes here, and I find it quite amusing.
Just putting it out there. If you and I were to do an audio podcast, we could probably pretty much do about 4 episodes a day. We'd just be live on Clubhouse constantly. In fact, it would.
Yeah, the only thing that slows us down is sending video files back and forth. Because the bloody internet's not quick enough.
No,
where I am
not.
Anyway.
No, it's generally not. It would actually be more convenient to just do it audio, to be quite honest.
I know. So, like, if you love it video-wise, then let us know before we just remove the video format. The video format's so funny, though. I quite like it. It's kind of interesting. Plus, it's not often we get to sit this close, which I quite like. So, anyway, here we are. First out, I just want to give a shout-out to Mick and Gavin from String Ninjas.
Mick? You know, whenever I see Violin Mick, I always see Violent Mick. I'm like, does he kill people with his violin? Because if he did, that would be great.
He might do, yeah.
Actually, comment below, Mick.
Well, if you meet him,
do you kill people with your violin?
If you looked at him and he hadn't spoke, you probably think Violent Mick. Actually, to be fair, you'd think the same about Gavin as well. But then when you chat to them, 2 very gentle souls.
I would love to see those 2. Have you ever seen the film like El Mariachi or Desperado? Yeah, wouldn't it be great to see Mick and Gavin turn up with their violins, and they just open up and it's just like a machete and a gun in it? Oh, that would make my day. Yeah, guys, that's your next music video if you want to do that. So they're in a band called String Ninjas. Reason I'm giving them a shout out is they were number 100 on the subscriber list on YouTube. So thanks very much, guys. Put a thing out saying whoever hits up 100 subs on the page, we'll give them a shout out. But Matthew Dowd as well. Did I write that right? 101. Unlucky fella. Thought I'd give him a shout out as well. Tell him how unlucky he is. Yeah, he didn't get the proper shout out. Very unlucky. Minor shout out.
And if you had beaten them, Violent Mick would have hunted you down anyway. All right. So that is we hit the big 100. That's what we do. and we've skyrocketed since then.
This is 100 on the YouTube.
On the YouTubes, yeah, on 113 on the YouTube. So
wow, 113 people put up with us. To be fair, it's usually, in terms of followers, it's like 113. Well, let's halve that and then halve it again. And then halve it again.
Yeah, about 8 people.
That's how many people actually watch it.
Yeah.
But to be honest, Yasmin is the only one I know that sits through and listens to all of them. Because she listens to them on YouTube. But she, like, when she's getting ready in the morning. Yeah. And she's annoyed that we don't do 2 a week anymore. Because she's like, I'm all caught up now. What am I supposed to do? And because now she's on maternity leave, she really has nothing to do.
Oh, for the love of God. Chill out, Yasmin. Jesus Christ. She knows there's other podcasts. She can listen to season 1 all the way. She can
listen to us yarning on about what we do. Actually, I think she's just waiting to hear when she gets mentioned.
Yeah. Which is always some sort of abuse, isn't it, as well?
Maybe sometimes, most of the time. What the hell is going on? Is that an alien?
Roll a coin.
Oh, is this Inception? Oh no, he doesn't roll a coin in Inception, does he? He does a spinny top.
Oh, does he do? He spins it, yeah. Actually, I was spinning. It's a pound coin. I was spinning the pound coin for a video, for the YouTube channel, which you'll see. And if you want to see it, you can go and check out my YouTube channel. It's just Dillon Osborne on YouTube. New video. I haven't posted in like a month and a halth.
Don't give a shit.
Do you know why?
Well, no one else does. No one watches this. No one watches your YouTube.
Well,
in fact,
just be honest. I'll be honest. I've lost the enthusiasm to do a lot of stuff on Instagram and YouTube recently.
Why is that?
So I've slowly built that back up. But I got to the point where I was like, you know what? Just take a breath, step back, work out what the point of it all is, and then just crack on. I don't know. I think I just had to remind myself to just make things that I want to make. So that's kind of what I've been doing. There's about 3 or 4 videos sitting here.
That's really cool that you're making things you want to make.
Which is quite exciting.
Then you make what you want to make.
Yeah.
And when I make things I want to make, I don't make anything, which is great because it's not what I want to do.
So it's not what you want to make then, is what you're telling me.
I want to make more.
Now,
anyway, doesn't matter.
We wanted to chat about something, right?
Because this is the funny thing is that we have a it's like a pre-match, what is it, a warm-up? When you get the coach in the football, what is it called, changing room? Is that what they have? I don't know. I don't like football. But then the coach does like a pep talk. We have an hour's conversation before the podcast. Which we should just record, to be fair. And if we're going audio only, maybe
which would be Yasmin's extra episode.
In fact, no, she was listening to the other except she was moaning because she's like, "Who are you on the phone to?" And I'm like, "Who do you think I'm on the phone to?" And she's like, "It's Dillon, isn't it?" And I was like, "We are talking about the podcast." Oh, okay then, fine.
Oh, that's okay. So as long as if you have your headphones on and sit in front of your mic every time we talk, she'll just think we're doing a podcast.
I'm always prepping. We're always like whenever we chat on the phone, we're prepping for the podcast. That means I'm totally clear with Yasmin.
You'd be surprised, but you'll be surprised how much like effort it goes to actually be bothered doing a podcast, because the two of us we could legitimately could make the most like antisocial podcast if we wanted to. Like if you've ever seen a YouTube channel by a guy called Jackmate, like we could effectively do what he does as a podcast. Well, actually, he does a podcast to be fair as well. So it would end up like that, and that's always my concern. Not that his content isn't incredible, because I quite like it.
It's who you want to portray yourself online, and I think given what you do for a living and what I do for a living, and the fact that you actually make a lot of happy-go-lucky, family-friendly YouTube videos at Dillon Osborne YouTube.
I'll check that out.
I don't think the content we'd actually it's maybe we should have Over and Out midnight or whatever is it, Over and Out after hours or something.
Yeah
because basically under and over.
Oh Jesus, get the leg over. That could be our late night one.
It could be, or that phrase we said earlier on, which we can't say on here because it would just be horrible. No,
absolutely not. No, but so there is a bit of time now. We've actually got show notes now, which are not for your eyes. Good God help us if you guys could see them. But we've had an idea for a couple of things, which I still like the idea. I said to Ryan the other day, what about doing it. Ryan's been talking about wanting to do like a feature on the show, okay, which is like something we do regularly for our entertainment. So then I was like, well, why don't we do one called Blindly Debate? Now I'm not sure if we're ready for it this episode.
Should we debate
but maybe next episode or the one after that. Well, called Blindly Debate, where basically we just pick a random topic, flip a coin, and one of us has to go pro and one of us has to go against.
So Dillon wants to do Blindly Debate. I can't be bothered, waste of time, no one's listening anyway.
Yeah.
What's the point? Dig your own grave, get in it, bury yourself. There you go.
Yeah, and mine is, well, all right, fair enough. Why don't do it? So that might be a feature we're going to might be bringing.
I love
to
that.
It.
Did I just win that?
The reason you won that first debate, yeah, I guess. Actually, we could do that. We could do that, and then people could decide who wins the debate.
Be good. But seeing as no one comments, it'll be Yasmin basically that decides.
Yeah. Yasmin, who do you really love?
Oh, you're going to lose that.
You know, hard question there for her, I'm afraid. But yeah, that could be quite a cool feature. And the reason we're saying that out loud now is at least when that entire idea gets sifted from our brains and used by someone else, you know where you heard it first. Blindly Debate, Over and Out show. But I'm looking at some random ideas that you've obviously jotted down into show notes.
They are really like brain dumps, I'll be honest. Yeah,
I see that.
That's how my brain just goes onto the Google Doc. And I can't be... Yeah, okay,
I
good.
understand that.
Good.
But where are we sitting here? Oh my goodness me, we're only got 10 minutes left of this episode. So yeah, we are going to try to bring in a few things, I guess, that are more structured around that. Just because otherwise it's going to end up with the two of us just waffling a load of bollocks, isn't it?
That's what we've been doing for about 70 episodes now.
Yeah.
No one's complained, but
we hadn't
also no one has
no one
has applauded.
Has not complained. Yeah. But I think that's the thing with podcasts generally is, and again, this is why I was interested to see who watches and listens, because I will listen to pretty much any old shit on a podcast if I'm driving.
Listen to ours.
I listen to ours. That's how bad it's got. But like when it comes to watching, that seems like a big ask. You know, to sit and watch that.
Maybe, I don't know.
You know,
do you watch?
But
you might have. Do you watch any podcasts? Or do you just put them on and then listen to them in the background and occasionally glance at the screen?
I would absolutely never put something on YouTube just to listen to.
Okay.
I think that's psychotic. Yasmin.
Yeah.
Why would you?
She's unsubscribed.
I couldn't put a video on and just listen to it. I'd have to watch it. Because that's the video. That's what it's for.
So could you put a movie on and just in the background?
No.
Really?
Absolutely not. I'll tell you what I used to do when I was younger. When I used to have this real shit little like VHS TV. You know, it had the VHS in the bottom of it.
I used to have one of those.
And you used to have one of those all stickered up corner of my bedroom. Used to stick BMX VHSs in it, right? Stick the VHS and just hit play, and then just like immediately walk out of my room. Used to drive my dad berserk. He would always switch it off, or he'd come and shout at me. I would do the same with music. I would just like stick my CD player on, you know, pop a disc in, and then or a tape cassette sometimes, depending on what it was, and then I would just
that's like
and then just like
that's like saying a CD. A tape and a
cassette tape, isn't it?
Tape and a cassette.
Cassette tape. I just said
a tape and a cassette are the same
wrong
thing.
Way around there. Yeah, but don't you say a cassette tape?
It's been a while. Maybe you're right.
I mean, you would say a cassette or a cassette tape, but you wouldn't say tape by itself.
Put that tape on. I threw that tape out the window. But then again, I would use tape in terms of video as well. Are you going to tape it?
But I don't think that would work now.
Because you just...
I think back in the day of cassette tapes, that was okay. You could be like, yo, have a listen to this tape, fella. Stick that tape in your Walkman.
Even the word tape
if you said to somebody now, you wouldn't pick me up a tape from the shop.
It's so weird, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. The only reason I was thinking about it is I was chatting to a mate of mine who like real good friend of mine, and we grew up and learned everything together. But we used to edit a lot of stuff. We used to do a radio show together when we were in college, and we used to do a lot of video and audio stuff, and using tapes and actually physically cutting and stitching tape together, like on a flipping analog desk. You know, when you ever do that with like cassette tapes? We had to record stuff, and then you would like literally wind it, and you'd pull the bit of tape across, and you'd cut.
Yeah, I did
so
that.
If anyone is like editing videos or whatever, and they're physically cutting, they're going and hitting the blade tool in Final Cut or Premiere or whatever, cutting through it, and then cutting, like you had to physically do that. That was ridiculous. You know, pull a bit of tape out, physically cut it with a blade, and then join it to the next bit with a bit of tape. Tape on tape. Tape on tape on tape.
That was the way it was.
Like, we actually had to do that. It was ridiculous. And now you're just like, blade.
Yeah, I know. It's like, now we moan because Final Cut can't keep up with how much we blade. And it's like, do you realize this would have taken 5 hours just to do the first 10 seconds?
Yeah.
Many moons ago.
Yeah, crazy. I know. Crazy, isn't it? Like, and that's kind of what got me thinking about that, was just, we were chatting about all that sort of stuff. And then I think back to like how you used to consume music, especially, was the main thing. Just literally plugging in. Like, I remember when mini discs came out, and they were like, what? And you could plug it in to the TV and turn Scuzz TV on, and then you would wait till the track came on you liked. You'd have to sit next to the TV because the cable was only a foot long, and then as they played it, you would hit record. You'd have record ready, and you'd miss the first like 2 seconds of the song, and then you'd record it out. And then that's how I used to get all my up-to-date music. You'd have a disc with loads of Scuzz music on.
I actually ended up buying a mini disc separate, you know, like the big long thing that you'd put into the sound system. And on the one that I had, once you'd recorded it in, you could actually digitally edit the track. So what I used to do is create drum loops and then put it on repeat. And then I'd have to record that to cassette tape for as long as I wanted. But then I'd have to play along with the guitar in order to figure out how long the song was. And then, but I'd have lots of loops.
You'd record it from mini disc to what?
Tape. Yeah. Sorry, no.
So you used to do that manually?
Yeah.
Tape cassette. Well, that's pretty cool, though. And what was that for?
Oh, just for fun.
For the banter. I can imagine your face while you were doing that, just like this.
Yeah, probably. Oh no, not like that. That's not good. Don't like that. It's totally unrepresentative of me.
I think that's quite accurate, actually. But there you go. I mean, I think when you think back to that and you look at what we've got now.
And we still moan.
Like, I don't know about you, but like, I still complain now when Spotify doesn't download an entire album through 4G to my phone in 10 seconds. I'm like, I want to listen to this while I'm doing that. Download to my phone. Oh, for the love of God. And it was like, I can see it downloading each track, and it goes like this. Finish.
Here's the question.
Start, finish. Start. And I'm like, that's too slow.
Tape cassettes and the Spotify. Do you... Because I've noticed myself doing this recently, and I'm trying to change it because I want to listen to music the way I used to. Do you listen to albums still, or do you just go shuffle, then go with playlists that Spotify has given you, or go to like a rock playlist or hip hop playlist, whatever? Do you do playlists, or do you listen to individual songs? Do you create your own playlists? How does that work?
I listen to albums, but I would listen to playlists if I was in a general mood. So I like, obviously it suggests playlists to me. So I'll like, sometimes Spotify suggests them, sometimes I make them myself, and I'll listen to a mix. But most of the time, unless it's an artist who I'm quite familiar with, and again, also depends on who the artist is and what the background of it all is. But if it's an artist who I'm familiar with and they have a lot of albums, then I'll sometimes create a playlist of like the ones I like the most. But generally, I've always felt like good music should be listened to in the order in which it was put on the album in the first place. It's like reading a book in whatever page you want. I cannot listen to an album in shuffle. That I'd rather listen to a playlist on shuffle. But if it's an album, like, I have to listen to an album. I have to listen start to finish, because I believe that music is like the artist puts it there in the order that they want you to digest.
Yeah, that's what I think is really interesting, though, is because a lot of artists now, they just release singles or one track at a time, because no one listens to the album. And it's weird, because you think back to albums like Soundgarden, Super Unknown or something, which is like a 16, 17 track album, which is like, I think for a lot of people now is a big ask to listen to that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's a great album. I love listening to it back to back. But I just don't think people do that so much anymore. It's like, oh, here's the hit song, boom. Where's the next hit song, boom, and then you just end up having playlists that are, supplied to you by Spotify or Apple Music, Tidal, whatever the hell it is you're on. Which I think is it's kind of sad. But at the same time, you just think it's a bit like doing the podcast. It's like, so guys, should we do this whole album? Yeah, but people are only going to listen to the 2 singles. So it's what's the point in doing the album, kind of thing.
Singles for artists now, I suppose they've always been like that, but people had time, a little bit more time.
Well, and they had no option as well, because the option was you buy the album unless you made a what's it called, a mixtape. You'd have to listen to the album front to back, basically. Especially on cassette, and obviously CDs came along. You could listen to it on shuffle, but still, who listens to an album on shuffle? Yeah.
And when CDs came out, most of the time I was listening to CDs in my car, so I was listening to them on skip mode.
Oh, what's that?
Yeah. When they get. That was a bad time for music, wasn't it? CDs.
Actually,
CDs
cassette I think is my favorite medium.
Yeah, I think because they were super robust. Yeah, Walkmans were the size of a small backpack. I remember riding BMX with a Walkman in my pocket, and it like bulged out, like it was huge. It was like I had a lunchbox.
Is that a lunchbox in your shorts?
And I'd have ridden like that.
Happy to see me.
Yeah.
I bet that's all the ladies said to you back in the 80s, 90s.
Still do.
Is that
still do when I carry a lunchbox around? You having a banana for lunch?
That's a baguette.
Sweet baby Jesus. But I think I remember CDs were just such a horrific thing. I remember flying from Cape Town to Belfast or to Heathrow, I guess, assume. When I was 15, was it 15? Yeah, something like that. 14 or 15. And it was the first time I got to travel by myself with a Discman. Jesus Christ. And I had this, I had the Discman, and it was about the size of a Mac Mini. And had my shit headphones on.
Oh yeah, the little plastic ones.
Had my shit, well, and they had the little furry bits that just always disappeared. And then I had this little flip case of CDs, and you would have taken all the CDs out of the case. Remember that? You used to take them out of the boxes and then put them in a little flip case.
Still got them.
And then you'd carry this around. And it was I maybe had 20 CDs with me, and you're sitting there being just listening to some tunes, and then you had to take it out and put the new one in and make sure you didn't scratch the CD and all that shit. And I was I hated that. At least with because they never worked. If they were at an angle, the thing never played properly, and it skipped if you banged it about. And then the little laser. I'll never remember how
you had to.
I'll never forget. You have to open them up, and there was that little laser reader. And they also got, don't touch the little laser.
I ended up blowing on that. Wiping it with my t-shirt, not a cloth, as you were supposed to.
Yeah.
Actually,
exactly,
I distinctly remember a moment when my dad. He took us me and my sister to Florida to Disney World. I think it's Disneyland, Disney World, wherever one. And I remember I had a Discman and the flip case, but the flip case had only room for 15 CDs or 20 CDs or something. And you're then you had to make those big decisions of which albums were you going to take. And then I got there and I was probably listened. I think I listened to the Weezer, the Blue album, first one. Pretty much the whole time. Yeah. Took all these other CDs, never listened to them. And I remember sitting there. I distinctly remember the moment I was doing all those things you were saying, trying to get the CD to play in the Discman, sitting by the beach and going, you know what? I really wish that I could just put all my music in a little box so I didn't have to take it anywhere.
Yeah.
And here we are.
Then the iPod arrived
with an iPhone, which does the calls as well.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, which does all the calls and doesn't even restore the music, just steals the music for the interwebs.
It's
So think about this, all right, before we close off for this episode.
I'm thinking. Can you see me?
Name me a band that you would have listened to, right, back in the day, that you would stand by now as you like, oh, you have to listen to. What do you mean you can't like them? But you know, fine, rightly, they're actually kind of shit. But because of who they were in their time, like, does this make sense? Like, there's certain bands that you just have to be like, those bands are good because of where they were in their moment in time, and you would still listen to them now, but you actually don't necessarily really think their music's that good now.
Oh, what, as in like,
does that make sense?
Music that they wrote back then isn't that good now, or the music they are currently making isn't that good now?
Yeah. No. The music they wrote back, like you listen, like you would argue it blindly, and then you'd be like, "What do you mean?" And then you stick it on, and you listen to it, and you nod your head for a bit, looking at them as if to be like, "How can you not like this?" And then like halfway through the track, you go, "This is shit." But you can never obviously sit and admit that to the person.
I
you
know
just
the
argue
exact
that
band. They're from
Go for it.
sort of your neck of the woods. Therapy.
Therapy.
I used to love, Trouble Gun, the album. Like their
Therapy.
drummer, Fife Ewing, massive blueprint for the way I play drums. I love that album. I listen to it now,
Really?
and go, how did I like this? I'd still like, but it is kind of shit.
Yeah.
And then their music just got worse. Once Fife, the drummer, left the band, I was like, I'm done. Yeah,
Really?
I couldn't. Do it.
Interesting. I've never really listened.
Don't blame
you. The only but weirdly, a couple of years back, I did some filming for BBC Live Music in Belfast, and filmed Therapy, like a whole thing behind the scenes with them, and filmed a couple of sets of theirs in Belfast. And I was watching them, going, "These are just old fellas playing some sort of metal."
That's very accurate.
They were good, but they were good in that. Like I was going, "Yeah, that's good." I mean, I'm never going to listen to it. I'd rather listen to someone scratch a chalkboard with their fingernails. But I appreciate that music is good. It's just not my. I'm not a metal.
Passive aggressive.
Metal music is just. I know, but I just don't like metal. I never really have. My band, the one I'm thinking, the reason I asked this question is I had this conversation with Pamela the other day, and she was like, I never liked them.
Sorry, you're the phone cut out.
Yeah, yours cut out earlier as well. What the fuck's going on? That's what I record a podcast here.
Christ.
GIF.
Should have used Clubhouse.
Giffity gaff. And basically, Chili Peppers.
Ah, okay.
Dog eggs. Like, back in their day, incredible. And I listened to their music kind of remembering what it was like hearing it back then and going, incredible. But I listen to it now going, and I think I listen to it now both in the present and with nostalgia. Yeah. And the nostalgia is the bit that goes, this music's amazing. But I listen to it now going, this is a load of shit. A bit like listening to the Beatles now, because you go, dog eggs. But actually in their era, changed music for everyone.
The Beatles still, they kind of, for me, they stand the test of time. But the
when was the last time you listened to them?
Literally the other day.
Also, again, depends on what song. If you're listening to like Sgt. Pepper, something like that, Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, those. But if you listen to like Love Me Do,
no, it's good.
I mean,
well, yes, it's very of its time, but it's still a good song. The thing is, the thing I specifically struggle with is like, yes, like Red Hot Chili Peppers, I think had a couple of good albums that you can still listen to, but they are kind of crap because he could never really sing. That was the thing, not really a great singer, great band. I mean, it's the whole vibe, right? What bothers me, and it's a bit like the Foo Fighters, actually. First album is amazing. In fact, first 3 or 4 albums, pretty darn good. Yeah. Then it's like, right, guys, you can stop now. Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. No, 10 albums later, we're still going. It's like, and I kind of see them and go, just their music doesn't have that, balls out, this is awesome kind of, and it might be nostalgia. Yeah, it's the same with the Red Hot Chili Peppers as well. Their new albums are just like, I could, I could do this, or maybe I could not. Doesn't really matter, to be quite honest.
Either way, you wouldn't be smiling.
No, but I prefer listening to new artists now, like, because I'm kind of intrigued, because like genres seem to have just disappeared. Everyone's doing all the things all the time. Yeah. And it, it's kind of like you listen to stuff like someone like Billie Eilish or something, and actually no, better example is the latest what's her name, Miley Cyrus album is essentially
good,
sounds like a Courtney Love album, pretty much.
Well, Pamela listens to it, and she keeps getting me to listen to it, and I'm like, I mean, it's not that I didn't listen to all of Miley Cyrus's stuff before.
A big Taylor Swift fan.
But
some of her stuff's very good.
Yeah, and I think it's really good. But I think it's It's funny that, isn't it? I think you just get to, I don't know, I feel like I get to a point, like I look at my dad and like he would have listened to like Zeppelin, Canned Heat, The Doors, bands like that, Deep Purple, that sort of stuff. And then when I tried to get him into music when I got a bit, I was like, oh, you'll dig this. Apart from Kings of Leon.
Yeah, but essentially Kings of Leon are like watching Led Zeppelin.
Yeah, exactly. So like apart from that, he didn't buy into new music, and but he will quite happily listen to like more mainstreamy stuff. And I think it's just you cap, don't you? Because I've also, like you're saying about Chili Peppers there and Foo Fighters, totally agree. And another band for me that sits in that bracket is Incubus.
Yeah, literally first 3 albums, maybe 4, possibly the 5th album. But by that time, it's like, oh, there's 3 good tracks on this. Don't need the rest.
Okay, so last question for this episode, right? Most overrated band, in your opinion? Naturally, I would argue with Pamela and say Queen.
Okay.
All right, but that's not going to be my answer because I'd rather listen to Queen than the other band. But you go ahead first. Most overrated band ever.
I fucking hate Primal Scream. I do not understand why people like that band. Them and Bjork.
Oh yeah,
Primal Scream. I cannot explain this. When their music comes on, I want to kick shit. Like it makes me so angry. I'm like, how do people listen to this shit? It's so bad. It's so crap. Yet people hold it in such high regard. I just listen to it and it makes me just angry that that it exists. I don't know why. Yeah. It's completely irrational.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I heard one song of theirs that I kind of liked and everything else was shit. I used to date a girl that used to listen to all that sort of shit. Primal Scream, 07, those sorts of weird bands. And I was like, but yeah, you're right. Primal Scream, they're a nothing band. Yeah. Shout out to Primal Scream.
No, it isn't. It's like it's completely irrational. I have normally you can listen to a band like say Roger Chippy. Yeah, he's not very good at singing. The bass playing and the drumming's great, but it's a sketchy guitar singer. It's like you can give reasons, but Primal Scream, I have no reason. Yeah, I just have a complete irrational disgust for that band.
Yeah, no, I would agree with you on that. I would agree with you on that. I think that's a fair point. My one is Muse.
100%. First album, great. Rest of it can do one.
Everything Muse have ever released. Actually, I hate it. I have never understood it. It's whiny, it's repetitive, and it's bland. And people lose their shit about Muse. I don't get it.
People lose their shit because the first album I loved when it came out, but they're a bit like therapy. I listen to it now and go, why did I like that? But then some of it's good.
It's just all very samey.
But they are not dissimilar to Queen at times.
No, but I respect Queen for what they did, which is Pamela's a huge Queen fan and she goes, man. So we end up in the Beatles Queen argument. But I'm always like, I just don't like the music because it's quite theatrical. I don't like theatrical music. She loves it. It's not for me, but that's why I don't like Queen. But I get what they did in their time. Whereas Muse Muse were in that. I think Muse were part of that bland indie bullshit that was like it was neither punk or rock or metal, or it was like just in the middle where we wind our guitars and we wind our voices, and somehow you have these super fans of bands like Incubus and Muse, and I've never understood that genre. So
now, Incubus used to be really great, but then they just got blander and blander as they got, and his lyrics got really bad. Like the further on, it's like, wow, Brandon, you've really run out of stuff to say, haven't you? It's just like, guys, come on,
I think we'll look back at the Killers in the same way. To be honest,
I looked at them immediately.
I mean, already looking at the Killers. I don't like the Killers.
Like that. Oh yeah, they're an overrated band. No idea why people like them.
I liked their first couple of albums, and then they got a bit pissed. Their latest one was.
I think it's because Mr. Brightside goes against everything I believe in. I mean, so.
What about an underrated band or musician?
Underrated band
that you feel is actually way better than the genre in which they. The reason I ask that question is I look at the singer from Panic at the Disco. What's his name?
Urie.
Now weird because he's theatrical, but an incredible singer.
But again,
I feel like lost in Panic at the Disco. Great band, love their music.
Their first couple of albums, when he still had the guitarist Ryan, I think his name was still in the band. The moment that guy left, it was an excellent name. The moment that guy left, I did not like what they were producing. He had this kind of, I guess I don't want to say musical talent because the guy is really, he's got an amazing voice. But I just don't like the new stuff. It's just a bit meh. Whereas the older stuff was kind of like, oh, it's much better.
Yeah. But he went very theatrical. Doesn't he actually do Broadway
I think he
or
does something in
like
Vegas. Because he's from Vegas, I think. Oh, no, he did. Didn't he do Kinky Boots or something?
there you go.
I think.
Oh,
you know
Jesus.
that play?
Hello.
Yeah, something
Something like that. Yeah, something like that. But there you go. Anyway, look, we've righted the wrongs of music, so you don't have to worry about it yourselves. It's been another episode of the Over and Out show, where only one of us wanted to be here.
I do want to be here, just not all the time. Not for this long.
Not all the time, but not for this long. So we'll catch you in the next episode.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. Peace out.